Someone decided to let the horses out of the stable in McKinney ISD because the tailbacks were running wild last Friday night. Hello and welcome to Sports Talk. I'm Tyler Sloan. Ronald Jones helped lead McKinney North to their best triumph yet as the Bulldogs won a shootout versus Lovejoy. Coach Mike Fetchy is here to discuss Jones's career night and what this win means in the grand scheme of things. Dedrick Scrivens had an equally impressive performance on the ground as Boyd doubled up Plano West. Coach Don Drake is in studio to reflect on another solid Broncos performance. McKinney High didn't find the same luck as Plano defeated the Lions in typical Plano fashion. Coach Jeff Smith will be here to explain how the Lions plan on rebounding from this loss. It's an action-packed show, so don't blink, because this is Sports Talk. The Plano defense in the end was just a little too tough for the McKinney Lions. The final score was 28-7. I'm joined by the McKinney's head coach, Jeff Smith. And Coach, Plano, they averaged giving up 7.5 points per game. They held you to 7 just like they have many teams this year. In the end, your offense started to get going in the second half. You just ran out of time.
Yeah, we did. We got better, I thought, the second half. Was able to establish a little bit of a running game, which was good against a pretty stingy defense. We felt like it would be a little bit tough to run the ball on, and it was good to see our guys coming off the ball. I thought the offensive line played well against a good front, and so I thought, establishing the running game in the second half was good. We were able to move the ball, and had a chance to cut it to a touchdown and just came a little bit short. But a much, kind of a tale of two halves, definitely.
In Plano, they jumped out to that quick lead. They scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, and that's a team that loves to run the ball. They're used to playing from ahead. That's their strength. At that point, once you're down a couple of touchdowns, do you start immediately trying to make some adjustments to quickly get back in this game?
Well, you do. I mean, it's a game of adjustments, and immediately after they scored, we had to start making adjustments. We saw some new things. Like you do every week, you scheme against each other. You try to find weaknesses. You try to find advantages and leverage. And they had some schemes that we hadn't seen before, and we were adjusting on the sideline with our kids, and our kids did a good job over the course of the game, making those adjustments. And offensively, we were trying to get in sync. We just weren't in sync the first quarter or two, and then talked to them at halftime, and it just improved. And so. But being down 2 scores, it's not where you start really throwing it ever down. We just have to calm down a little bit and start looking at things and executing, and that was the difference.
They eventually took a 21-0 lead into halftime. Brandon Stevens for them had a particularly great game, 26 carries, 259 yards, and a touchdown, and that was the majority of their yards in the game was Stevens running the ball. He had the majority of the workload, and what about this particular running back was hard to stop?
Well, he's he's a bigger back. He runs well. It starts up front with those guys. They've got a big offensive line. They do a good job coming off the ball, and so they open up some pretty good holes for him early in the game. Their quarterback came from a backup role, and so I think taking a little pressure off of him and getting the ball to some of the backs was a good idea in their plan, not put it all on his shoulders, being a backup quarterback. They're waiting for the other guy to come back from injury. So, he did a good job. But I think it kind of starts up front with those guys. I think I could even carry the ball pretty well against some of those guys, the way they come off the ball. And so, anyway, that's kind of where it started with them. But definitely Brandon Stevens had a good game and played well.
Plano's quarterback only 5 pass attempts. He did throw for 1 touchdown, though. On that particular touchdown pass that he made in the first quarter, did it really catch you off guard?
No, you know what? We had it covered pretty well. We had 2 guys, one under, one over. It went to their tight end who's maybe caught 2 or 3 balls the whole year. So I was proud of our guys being in the right spot. The kid made a great play, and we went up and didn't come down with it. And so, it's one of those deals where, hats off. They made a good play right there, made a great catch and got it in the end zone. We've got to make that play.
The whole first half, your offense had trouble gaining traction against this defense, but you come out with the first drive of the third quarter, lengthy drive of over 4 minutes, and you punch it in, Tyree Johnson with the touchdown run. What worked for you on that drive? What did you change going into that drive to be able to move the ball against Plano?
Right. I think we didn't give up on the running game. Tommy and Antonio both ran the ball effectively on that drive. We got some good blocks, and we were able to kind of grind out some first downs. We also threw the ball. We had one big pass play to TV Williams that really got us down there deeper in the red zone, which was a great play. And then from there, we kind of chipped away and was able to get it in the end zone. And they're pretty stingy especially in the 5-yard line, but in the red zone in particular. And so for us to get in our heavier formation and let Tyree get it in was good. And so that really started kind of changing momentum. It was 21-7 at that time. Defense ended up, getting a stop the drive after that on a missed field goal by them, and then we get the ball back. And so you could really feel our guys gaining a little bit of momentum at that point.
Let's talk quickly about that stop, because it's a drive that Plano started with 7.5 minutes or so to go in that third quarter. They carried that drive all the way into the fourth quarter, a lengthy drive, and for your defense to hold in your own end, force them to kick a field goal, and it was missed. Huge momentum swing. Now you're really back in this ball game.
No doubt, and it was a great stand defensively. We got pressure on the field goal. He was able to get it away, but he pulled it a little bit to the left, and so that was a big stop. We got us, 3 stops, a couple 3-and-outs, and then that stop in particular, and those were good stops against a good offense and against Plano. And so, getting the ball back from a team that wants to ground the clock is big. We've got to get those stops. And offensively, we moved the ball down the field, and then had to go for it. Got one. We converted with Tyree Johnson to Tommy Candela for a big 4th-down conversion, which really kept us going. And then it just kind of fizzled out. We had to go for it on 4th down with around 7 minutes to go. We just couldn't give them the ball back. Otherwise, they'd just, being 2 scores down, they would grind it out. And so we had to go for it and didn't convert. And from there, they went down and scored to lengthen it to 28-7.
And that's how the game ended. In the stat sheet, Tommy Candela had 7 carries for 47 yards, and Antonio Oliver 9 carries for 31 yards. He would have obviously liked to have been closer in the game to give them more opportunities to carry the ball rather than have to come from behind, having to throw it so much. But some tough running from them. Those yards aren't easy to come by against this Wildcats defense.
It's not, and they did run tough. And again, I thought the offensive line did a good job this week, coming off the ball. It's something to build on. Something we were glad to see out of our guys up front, and not many carries, not many yards in that aspect. Whenever they control the clock, we just don't touch the ball as much, and so every first down is big. Every carry is big. You need to convert, and not get down on a team that does what they do, and so. I was proud of the drive in the third quarter and how we played in the second half altogether.
You end up running less than 50 plays total on offense in that game, and you piled up 209 yards, which is about 60 yards above their average that they give up per game. Plano only gives up 151 yards per game. Going into next week's game against Plano East, it's a big game for both of the teams. Both teams 0-1 in the district play. And Randy Jackson has come in at Plano East as their new head coach. He's definitely sped up the offensive tempo for their attack. What are you going to do to try and counter, a different offense that you saw last week with Plano?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's they run the ball a little bit, but more than anything, they like to throw it, spread you out, and get the tempo going to where you're kind of limited on what you can call on defense and how you play. And so, this week it's all about getting lined up and that offense is good when you're moving the ball. When you're 3-and-out, and it's keeping your defense on the field a lot. And so we really need to force them into 3-and-outs and situations where we can, keep their defense on the field and let our offense play. And so he's done a good job. He's a good coach. He's done a good job at Poteet before he was at Plano East, turning programs around and getting things going. And we have a lot of respect for him and his staff. And so you know, it's going to be a different look at Plano East this year. Same defense, you know, their coordinator is the same, and you know, they're going to bring a lot of pressure and those types of things. And so, you know, we've got to execute on offense and move the ball and get stops on defense. And it's a big game, as you said. You know, sitting here at 0-1 in district, they are too. This win would give either one of us a spot right back in the mix, and that's what we need.
And it's also a road game at Kimbrough Stadium in Plano. Do you guys relish the road games in district?
Oh, they're fun. I mean, we like them all, but we obviously love playing at home in front of our fans. But you know, there's great stadiums in our district all around Allen and all the Plano schools and our stadium. It's great crowds and great venues, and we played over at Kimbrough last year, and so it's going to be familiar. You know, it's not going to be anything we haven't seen, and but it'll be a great night, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, good luck in that game, Coach. For McKinney Lions, they go into the Plano East game. Both teams are 0-1 in the district schedule. A key game for both teams. If McKinney can pull out the victory, all of a sudden they're 1-1 and right in the playoff race in District 10-5A.